Hello, this is Shamim. I'm working as a senior web developer here in Eicra Script Limited. We are now in the middle of our role management section where we have already released three part in prior to this tutorial. So it is part 3. So before reading this tutorial, make sure that you have listened our previous article and tutorial which is part 1 and part 2. So in this tutorial part number 3, we are going to show you how role affects on user member area and backend area. As usual, you will see we will demonstrate this idea with any of our script, but it can be applied to any script you have purchased from Eicra. Not necessarily has to be the same script what we are demonstrating here. So now this is our real estate default template. So let us show how it affects role and ACL on our front end, member area and backend. So on the real estate script, I am showing this demonstration, but same tricks applied to any of your script purchased from Eicra. So now I select a general role and I load up the form which we set for general role. So here I'm going to apply for a new registration under a gold package which costs $200, and I'm going to fill up this form with some dummies information so that we can play on this user. So it is before filling it up, I would like to draw your attention that what I am doing here is I select a role called general, what we have recently created in our first part of this tutorial, and I'm going to register myself as a user of general role. So as usual, my username is going to be dev at yoursite.com and a dummy's password to show you how user can be handled under a role. So the system works on ACL model, access level restrictions, and I'm going to fill up a form to get myself registered under a role called general. So remember, this form is what we set when we create this role called general, and we select a form, and this is the form that I am filling it up. So I fill up zip code, country, state, city. Yeah. So when I fill up this form, I would expect this system will take me to an invoice page because I subscribe for a package called Gold Member. So the system will take me to an invoice page to make the payment. But if it is free, then system will not redirect me to an invoice page. But since it is a premier page, premier package, so system will expect me to make payment for get myself registered under general package. So it's registering, system is working. Done. So look at this, it brings a nice interface with an invoice page, and an email is going to send to the user called dev at yoursite.com, and this is an unpaid invoice. Here pay to is dummy, and you can see payment gateways on the top right hand side. So this is pay to and this is invoice to. Invoice to is for the user who has subscribed for this package under golden package which costs $200. So if I want, I can print this invoice for my future records. So email sent successfully. Now I have registered myself as a user under a role called general. So now let us log in to our backend area under admin control panel. So I keep all the windows side by side so that I can navigate easier. So under user, manage user, I will see a new user registered under a role called general. Here you can see ID number 16 is the new member who had just registered himself under a general role. You look at this. This is the role name called general with what we have recently created, and null means this user has not been logged in yet, and register time is when the user is registered. So now on my other tab is my home page. So I go to setup and user role manager here. So this user role manager is the central part of managing all roles. Remember, we have created the general role for the demonstration. So this is the role we have just created. So this is the form, and we can click on this permission who will for to set up our permission for this role called general. And look at this. In this interface, these are the list of the modules where you can set up your access privilege for. So this is sitemap module, this is contract module, and this is utility module. I can set up my privilege here, and geographical user module, members module. There are the plenty of options, so that where we can make our access privilege, we can restrict some user to do, some user not to do. And this is the invoice module, this is project module, vote module. So there are the list of the modules. This is password module. So these are all the list. There's plenty of list. You have will have full freedom to limit a restriction based on a role. So this is what we call ACL, access level restriction, for the role with what we have selected is general user, for the general role. So under our billing, no, is setup, I open in a different tab so that I can navigate easily. So this is the general role name, and this is our role management area, and this is our home page. And on my other tab, the role I am setting up is for the general role. So these are the modules that I can set up according to my business. So I can restrict the level of access to those users who will be registered under the role of general. So there are plenty of options, so you can decide slowly what you want your user to do and what you want your user not to do. So there are plenty of options where you can restrict your user access. So now I am logging out from our administrator control panel. So now I am going to refresh my home page because I logged in as an administrator. So now I logged out, so no login yet. So now I am going to log in as a user. What we have just registered is going to be dev@yoursite.com and my password. So I am now logging as a user. I want to see what permission I have and what permission I don't have. So let us log in, and system will tell me that I have access to some module or not. So I am going to log in, and I am clicking on the member area so that I can go directly to my dashboard, members dashboard. Look at this. I do not have permission to access this page because I have registered myself under a role called general, but general role has no permission to access to the dashboard and to access anything. So I have simply no permission, so nothing is set. So now what we will do, we will now log in as an administrator, and I will give some little bit of permission for those users who will be registered under general role. So under setup, user role manager, so I'm going to my role management area. So I'm going to set up some permission for this role, it means whoever or how many, regardless how many number of user registered, but whoever registered under this general, these access level privilege will be applied for those users. It means if there is a hundreds of thousands user registered under a general role, everybody will get the permission what we are going to give the permission for. So now I'm going to set up some permission, some access level restriction, and I'm going to allow something for the user who will be registering under general. So I'm selecting some permission here, content member management. I select all permission for this, so that whatever the user register, whoever the user can be, he has permission to log in to his or her member area. So I'm setting up permission for those users who will be looking for to get into their member part, and they who will be interesting for updating their profile and manage their dashboard and everything. So I'm going to set up some permission here for that. So I am now logging out as an administrator because I set up some permission and I logged out. So now system will redirect me to log in first. So now let us log in as an user called dev@yoursite.com. So after logging, what I am expecting? I am expecting system will not show me that you do not have permission to access this page. Why? Because just a little while ago I logged in as an administrator and approved that user can update their profile and user can access to the dashboard. Look at this. So now the nice interface comes up allowing me to update my profile because administrator has approved my access to update my profile and dashboard, and I can change my password, I can update my profile now, because in just a little while ago I could not manage my profile. Now I can. The difference is as an administrator I set up a permission for those users who are registered under general role. I approve their access and I approve front-end member management. I approve them to change their password and to make some changes to their profile, and they are now allowed to access to their dashboard. So now they can do that. So this is the profile part, so I can make some changes whatever I want because administrator allows my access or my friends access who will be registering under the same role. So now when I click on the dashboard, I can see a nice dashboard with some little buttons here. So this is my email address, login email. So here I can see some option called manage user, search user, change password, your profile, and manage users. So these option comes, and this option appears because admin approve my permission. So now if I click on Premier Control Panel, it will take user to a same control panel what administrator will look like. So look at this. Premier Control Panel is pretty much like administrator control panel, but mind it, this is not the administrator control panel, but this is the control panel of the user who has registered himself. So the administrator has some unrestricted access to their system, but the user has some restricted access to the same system. But although the both control panel look like same, but based on the access level privilege, their option is limited to how administrator approve their access. So now I log in as an administrator, and now under setup here is user role management. So I'm going to add some more access to the user who are registered under a general role. So these are roles. So I'm going to add more privilege or more permission to few more modules, so that I can show you what change it affects when we approve their access. So now I'm going to get some more permission for the user who will be registered under the general role. So under the newsletter, I am approving some access. So it's under the news, there is manage newsletter template. So newsletter, under the newsletter I am setting some access privilege, and under the setup I approve some contact details, and in the member area I let user to view, edit, delete user, and under some dynamic form I want user to make some play with it, and I am approving some access level restriction for them, and I will let user to change their password for font-end registration, select all, and font-end form we already selected it previously. So now we are going to save the changes that we have made. So I am just saving my change, and I would like to make sure that I am giving some more access to the user who will be registering under the role called general. So I am just saving my setting. Contact, I give some extra layer of permission to let user manage their contact form, and sitemap, I'm approving user to view the sitemap. So these are the setting that we have just allowed. So what we are expecting after these changes? But look at this, as an administrator I can manage their access level restriction. So I can approve their restriction, I can set up what they can do, what they cannot do. So based on the permission settings, user will be administrated for. So once I approve and once I save the changes that I am making on ACL, I mean access level restrictions setting, all the users registered under a role will enjoy this permission. So you can imagine it as a collection of an objects. A role is a collection of a user group where the registered user, regardless the number of the users, whoever will be registered under certain role, these permission will be applied for them. So imagine that this role is a teacher or a student. So if you have a school and if you have 100,000 student, so whoever the student may be will be registered under the role of student, and when we set up the permission here under a role called student, all student will be entitled to access to those pages where we are making permission for. So these are the article page. So just for let you know and just to demonstrate and just to make you understandable, I'm applying some undue permission, although it is not recommended. Just I'm showing in this tutorial that as soon as I approve their permission, they will be immediately be able to access to those pages. So I'm randomly adding those permission for them, but when you will be approving the permission, please apply your extreme caution, because it may create some security vulnerabilities. Because if a general registered user have a privilege to edit your contact information, that's a disaster. So I am in this tutorial, I am just showing as a demo. So I am approving all permission and I am just showing that how system works. But when you are applying those permission, please apply your extreme cautions and common sense, so that right user get a right permission and it doesn't create any security vulnerabilities. So I hope I have given enough access permission for those user who will be registering under this role called general. So I am giving more permission, so that when I will be logging as an user, I should be able to see plenty of option in front of me. So under a property, I am giving all permission. Again, when you will be administering the user level restriction, when you are going to approve the access level restriction, please apply your extreme caution and make sure that the permission you are giving to the user, you are 100% correct. Do not allow a registered user to manipulate on other user profile, because whatever the changes we are making here is an ultimate. So take your time, think, rethink, and click on that, click on approval and hit save. So here I am randomly selecting, and I would like to show you there are plenty of options and modules will be available for the user registered under general role. So I am approving permission for managing the preference of a property, although it is not recommended until he is your manager or sub-admin. And administrator, as you know, administrator itself, administrator means you, so do not give this permission unless he is your friend or your brother or your partner. So now I'm just giving some permission for administrator, assuming that he is the user is our manager. So I think we are done. We have made plenty of changes and approved plenty of access. So now I logged out as an administrator, and I logged out as an administrator, and I am now I will be logging as an user, not an administrator, and the user under the role called, my URL wasn't wrong anyway. So it is my home page, and I am going to log in as an user who has just been registered himself. So I am just logging as a user, email called dev@yoursite.com. Remember the user what we have just registered, although we have not made payment, but we allowed our access. So now I logged in successfully, and I am now logging to my member area. So now what I will expect, I am expecting a tons of features to be available in front, because look at this. Now user management module, content management module, there are plenty of options in front of me. I have modules called, say, billing, payment gateway, classified, galleries, property, and look at the list of the buttons. It appears to me because we have approved the user. And now look at the premium user control panel. So when I log in as a premier user, in earlier the page was empty, but now there are list of option what we have approved for this user. So this is a premier control panel. Basically it look like an admin control panel, but it is not an admin. It is a premier control panel, and the options are available based on the approval you have made as an administrator, what you have made. So now when I click on add new property, you can see a premier control panel is almost look like an administrator control panel. It is the same version and same layout and same user interface, but the options are limited according to how you have set up your privilege form. So under the modules, you can see the list of the modules that what admin approved for this user to view or to manage or to delete or whatever. So under the billing, you can see under the setup, you can see some option here. Billing, under there is a payment, under the billing there is a payment gateway list. User can manage their payment gateways. Why user can see these payment gateways? Because in our ACL, in access level privilege, we allowed this user to manage our payment gateways. So user under the group called general, you can see, so user can change their profile, and under the site you can see there are some option available for this user, dev@yoursite.com. He can change his password, and look at this, look at the interface on the top right hand side. You can see you log in as a general, and public view and logout. So this is your default username, change password, confirm password, and here you can log out. So now I am logging out as a user. I logged out, and let's go back to our front end, and we are now logging as an administrator. So under an administrator, I have set up some role privilege for this user. So what I will do, I'm going to approve some view permission to admin dashboard and approval page, and to edit user. So I am approving the user under the general role to access to the admin control panel dashboard so that he can get access to his premier control panel. So now I logged out as an administrator and log in back as an user, and then I will log into our premier control panel. Basically, premier control panel is almost the same control panel that administrator is using. If you want, you can remove this option. If you want, you can just drop this button here, but most of our client wants not to let user log in to premier control panel. Look at this dashboard. So now that nice dashboard appears, but in earlier it was not, because we have not set up permission for the user to log in as a dashboard. So now we set up a permission for the user to log in as a dashboard, and now when I log in as a user, I can see my dashboard. So let us log out, and we logged out. So now what we have seen, that in our access level restriction area, which is called manage role area, we can set up various access level restrictions based on our business demand. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it helps understanding the role and ACL model. If you still have any problem, do not hesitate to email us. We are open to answer any of your inquiries. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Thank you very much.